Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. The College of Science, Technology and Applied Arts of Trinidad and Tobago, or COSTAATT, they are spearheading an initiative Link Up, and this is in collaboration with the Global Prison Reform Organization, Incarceration Nations Network. Now, we actually spoke with Dr. Baz Dreisinger. We continue the conversation now, speaking with COSTAATT President Dr. Keith Nurse. We are also speaking with Link Up's reintegration coordinator, Mr. Nicholas Khan. Welcome, gentlemen. We're very grateful that you are able to make the time. And Dr. Nurse, I want to start off asking you, how do you feel that is no longer just an idea, it is something that is starting to move forward?
Yes, we have momentum. It's great to see that Link Up, which was an idea that my colleagues brought to me several months ago. In fact, not soon after I joined COSTAATT, which is just over a year ago, and we started brainstorming. And they indicated that they had been working with Dr. Dreisinger, who I knew from before as well. I've known her for quite a number of years. And in fact, we've been trying to pilot these ideas in other jurisdictions before I came to COSTAATT. So we already had some kind of synergies going. And what we did was we repackaged the proposals, and then we started shopping the proposal around to potential funders, donors, partners. And we were quite gratified that we were able to bring on board a few sponsors. Resources are always critical for these kinds of things. But even in areas where resources aren't being dispersed, we've gotten support from a number of agencies. So yes, we got funding from the International Legal Foundation out of the United States, and also the J.B. Fernandez Trust, who are helping us to, in the first instance, pilot the concept. And so we have done a lot of the background work. We have prepared the curriculum. We have designed the whole intervention process that we are doing with the formerly incarcerated. And we are quite convinced now that what we are doing is a mechanism of social innovation, because there aren't too many other programs. In fact, we can't identify any that are doing it the way in which we are doing it. So for example, we're running Link Up through our upskilling academy at the college. So the training and education component is linked to an incubator and is linked to an accelerator. So an accelerator where we encourage or facilitate the formerly incarcerated or participants to set up businesses, but we'll have them develop their proof of concept and create bankable, marketable enterprises out of the process. So it's pretty novel.
And that is that you gave us a lot to talk about, and we'll get into that just now, but I want to bring you into the conversation, please, Nicholas. Sometimes it feels as though when you're doing something for the first time and no one has really done it before, you have the opportunity to kind of do what you want, but to me, it feels as though there may be a level of responsibility for the Link Up program to get it right and to get it right the first time, because a lot of people will be looking at this precedent and seeing, okay, well, it worked like this, well, I don't need to put anything behind it, or it didn't work, or... So what kind of responsibility do you feel being the reintegration coordinator for this program?
Well, it takes somebody with experience to be the reintegration coordinator. As a person who spent 15 years in prison, I believe working with Dr. Nurse and Dr. Baz Dreisinger, that we're on the same path. You know, they are the academics and I have the experience, and together we combine and the decisions and, you know, moving forward with the Link Up project. So I believe it's critical that they have somebody on board who been through the system and dealing with life after prison. So, you know, that is like the most important thing with Link Up and getting it right.
And like how you put that emphasis on getting it right. And I want you to speak to that a little more, please, because as I raised with Dr. Dreisinger, I think sometimes people have an idea which can have a lot of potential, but they do involve everybody with information from all sides of the coin. And they just say that I think they need this and I think they would like that.
Yeah.
So how did you feel when you were approached to actually have this position but you spoke about the responsibility of getting it right already. But tell me about that feeling when they came to you with saying, okay, well, this is what we want to do.
When I came out of prison January 2023 and Link Up at launch in February. I was invited to the event by Dr. Bajai Singer, who I have known for some time. I did not know Dr. Nurse at the point in time. So at the event, I spoke, I was given the opportunity to share my experience. And it so happened that they were promoting Link Up. So Dr. Nurse see it fit that I be part of the group, and I wasn't expecting it because I was still trying to figure out life, what I'm going to do next, and he came to me and I see it as a blessing and an opportunity because he didn't have to do that, and it's something I always appreciate every day, getting up and go to work. My mother could be happy that my son going off to work rather than he was in prison and, because it is a challenging thing after prison. And I'm glad I could play a role in and being here being given an opening here to make decisions and having an input on this link up project. Because as I say, we have to get it right. And my experience is like everybody experience. So it's all about the therapy part of it, the support part of it, the academic part of it, and then the entrepreneur part of it. So it's our body of work.
And that's one of the things I appreciated in the conversation that we had with Dr. Dreising as well. But I see you smiling, Dr. Nurse, and not even asking you how it is you feel, just saying, okay, well, like, yeah, we choose the right one to be this link between, and pun intended, I guess, between what the resources that you have and the people that are coming out or formerly incarcerated. But I want to ask you, Dr. Nurse, you said you've tried to do it already. What were some of the challenges? What are some of the reasons that it didn't happen previously?
Well, that's a critical question. Social innovation and social entrepreneurship is not an easy task, especially in our part of the world. We're not accustomed to have collaborative approaches to doing things. And in the case of Link Up, we need to have collaboration in many spheres. So it's not just about money. Actually, it requires critical institutions to be involved. And so when you're doing something that is targeting the formerly incarcerated, you have to be working with the prison service, for example. We have an MOU with them, and the college has long been providing training for this institution. So we have a relationship with them that goes back decades even. So they've been a really important partner. In recent months, we've signed an MOU with Vision and Mission, and they are an organization that facilitates the formerly incarcerated. And they are really a strategic partner for this project going forward because they already have a number of programs and intervention methodologies that work with this group. Now, remember, the overall goal is to reduce the recidivism rate, which is really high in Trinidad and Tobago. And the way I try to explain it to people is that, for this target group, this is one of the most important initiatives because when people come home from that experience, their options are very limited often. So the way in which we've designed Link Up is to create an entrepreneurial opportunity. Well, both entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. We'll be training them and coaching them on how to be the entrepreneurial employee, for example, so that career advancement is built upon a new modality. And often for this target group, we can say that the school system may have failed them, and traditional employment opportunities may have failed them. So how can we craft an experience that would address those limitations that society has heaped upon this segment of our population? And so that's the way in which LinkUp is operating. It's a dynamic social innovation, social entrepreneurship process that we are crafting. We're learning as we go along, and somebody like Nicholas has been vital, a vital member of the team to, help us understand what would work and what would work right the first time. So we do a lot of brainstorming, and so Nicholas's input has been vital all along.
And that is something that we want to continue on when we return. We're speaking with Nicholas Khan, the reintegration coordinator for the LinkUp program, as well as president of COSTAATT, Dr. Keith Nurse. Stay with us. We return after this. Welcome back. We are speaking about the LinkUp program. The College of Science, Technology and Applied Arts of Trinidad and Tobago, COSTAATT, has spearheaded this initiative, and we're doing so with a reintegration coordinator of the program, Mr. Nicholas Khan, as well as COSTAATT President, Dr. Keith Nurse. And Mr. Khan, tell me a little bit about crafting. And I say that because you spoke about having therapy, having support. What are some of these things that, okay, well, you're saying from your experience, from the experience of people that you would have interacted with. And let me give a bad comparison certain ways. I hopped around the Caribbean for a little bit, and then coming back, I'm from Gasparillo. It felt like I didn't know South anymore. So what is this C3 that people are talking about? What is this place? I don't know how to pass to reach. Yeah. So imagine, so is even a larger example than that. You said 15 years in your case. What are some of those things that you said, bringing from your experience, you said, we need to have this in this program for it to go right?
Well, one of the things that I was stressful about is the therapy part of it, and you could feed entrepreneurship, academic, and so forth, but you need to, a man had to heal for what he been through. Something like PTSD, like simple things like my mom gave my watch, and I had problems wearing it because it felt that weight on my hand being handcuffed. So, I think that is a critical thing, the therapy part of it.
Okay, and we give thanks for that. And that actually kind of even reminds me of somebody who we hope to speak with in a little bit as well, Romel Lizama or Papa Mel Calypsonian, in addition to other things. He was saying that he by the beach, and he's saying, but this is salt water.
And he part of LinkUp too.
Okay. All right, so hopefully you can link up that conversation for us as well.
We're linking up everybody, Romel part of LinkUp.
We give thanks for that. But in terms of designing the course as well, Dr. Nurse, what are some of those things that, because we heard, yes, it was a holistic effort, so people with different levels of insider information, academic, people who have been through the system, people who have been in the community, who have experienced certain things. How do you take all of that information and distill it so that there is this formalized program that you can move forward on, as opposed to just saying, okay, well, we have this information. What do we do with it?
Yeah, well, I was smiling in my head. That's what we do as academics. Our job is to synthesize complex ideas and make them simple.
You sure? Some
And
people feel as though some people want to make it even more complex, you know.
yeah, well, okay, maybe I should say good academics. That's our job, right? To take a lot of data, a lot of information, a lot of perspectives, and crystallize them into something that is actually doable, implementable, and so on. And so, I mean, I view myself as an academic entrepreneur. I do this for a lot of areas, not just the Link Up program. I've been doing this all my academic professional career. So I know how to do this, which is to take really critical ideas and issues and convert them into a mission-oriented framework for implementation. And so with Link Up, what we have done, which I think is a really important area of innovation, is that we have linked a therapy experience to an educational experience to an incubator where we incubate the ideas of the budding entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs. And then we provide seed financing to give them that leg up. Because you can say that we have a lot of training taking place in Trinidad and Tobago and across the region, but the training is delinked from other key components. So in some instances, we're doing training for training's sake, as opposed to creating mechanisms to ensure that people get into the marketplace and are able to create some level of survivability. So for example, even with our incubator and accelerator, that service is going to be offered not in a short time frame. It's going to be offered for a year, if not longer, because we know from the data and the literature that the survivability rate of startup firms increases significantly if you're able to allow for business coaching that goes beyond 1 year. So we take the data, the experiences from all around the world, and we distill it into something that is actually implementable. And so we strategize about that all the time. And that's what we've been doing with Link Up.
And I appreciate that, because I remember going to school and deciding, okay, what specialization I'm going to do. There's someone who decided to hot up their head and get a few more gray hairs and say, okay, well, they are my mommy. I mean, totally my academic mom. And she refused to have me do radio specialization. She said, I'm doing it already. I need to spread my wings. If I decide to do the radio program, she's going to make sure I fail everything. And I believed her. But what I was able to do is to undertake a course of study that allowed me to kind of fail forward in a safe space and that level of vulnerability. Because sometimes in the, I don't know if you want to call it the real world or world outside of school, as you slip, you slide, you make a mistake, and it's really hard to come back from that if you can at all. So that holding hand and guiding process for that year where you're able to build habits, you're able to have experiences, you're able to look and see, okay, well, this is working and this is not working. So you definitely have somebody to come and get that information from, I think is really, really, really important. But I'm not sure who I should ask now in terms of how do you reach out to people and say, okay, well, I want this person to be part of the Link Up program. And I say that because yes, so you just spoke about Papa Mel being part of it, and let me put a plug in for the conversation that he had with Giselle Legault. You can look on TTT Live online digital platforms to see that conversation. But we also recently on In-Depth featured a conversation with Rion Elborn, and he said that as he finished this recording, he's going to COSTAATT because he's helping to do some work there as well. How do you reach out and say, okay, well, this is a person that we want to work with, or this is someone in the area that we think we need some resources? I don't know who to throw that question to. Both of you are smiling, gentlemen.
Right.
Let Nicholas go first. Nicholas is first.
Rion Elborn, he been a part of my life while I was incarcerated, so we built a relationship even when I came out of prison. he came the next day and, you know, came on our support. I always know he was into music, but the way he was into music, he was passionate about it. And I had I had also invite him to the group because he used to come in the prison and sing and so forth. You know, and the first day he said, "Can anytime you have any class again, just call me." You know, and that alone showed that yeah, it could work. You know, um, the recruitment part of it was just going into certain communities that are familiar with and just linking up, you know, telling brothers about the program and how it could benefit them. Um, some recruit came from Derby Jacobs and just networking. Rion Elbow himself bring a guy to the link up program with the therapeutic art workshop. So the name alone is just link up, you know. You know, somebody just link them, you know. So yeah, the name itself suit the whole program, the movement, the whole energy, everything.
And
Even in
well,
our small group, two guys who was unemployed and in the group, man who know somebody hiring, man get jobs, link up before link up even really kick off, you know. So the energy there.
and that energy is so
Yeah.
important. So because sometimes even before you have anything, or what they say in the beginning was the word, and how it is you articulate and put your energy around that to push it forward, because word and song equal power. So I think I'll let you have the closing statement, Dr. Nurse, looking at the time we have, because definitely this is not a one conversation thing. Yeah, and this is part two of the conversation, and we're still running out of time. But the last comment is yours, Dr. Nurse.
Well, you know, we've got the fabulous support. So Professor Dreisinger has come on board. She's a passionate global thinker and actor in this area. And then, you know, we have Etienne Charles as well coming on board and working with the Link Up group, doing the training, the therapy. We couldn't have asked for more dynamic partners. And we're building on it. So we have others who are funders, like the International Legal Fund and the GB Finance Trust. We can't begin to thank them for the input that they've made, because it provides a proof of concept for us as well, that these ideas are not just pie in the sky. They're actually things that we can make happen. So my COSTAATT colleagues as well have jumped in. So it's interesting, we use a transversal methodology. So this program was designed by our criminal justice program, but our colleagues from our School of Business and Digital Technologies are very much involved in designing the training. And then we have other colleagues who are coming in from our School of Workforce Enhancement and Development to play a critical role as well when we talk about things like career development and so on. So it's all hands on deck approach at COSTAATT, transversal across the board approaches. Wherever the need is, we are adapting a response. And it's really been gratifying.
And we are grateful on this end to be able to have this conversation with you, gentlemen. Nicholas Khan, the reintegration coordinator of the Link Up program, as well as you, COSTAATT President Dr. Keith Nurse. And on behalf of the entire TTG News team, this has been In Depth with me. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, viewers, for joining us.